Hello, my name is Christina Ajimen. I am a senior in petroleum engineering at the Colorado School of Mines. Joining the MEF was a great experience, and I really want to thank my mentors, Dr. Dusgan and Dr. Smith from the mining department, and my collaborators, PhD candidate Jensu Pederli Demiken and Eric Villar, petroleum engineering student, for all the support and guidance with my research entitled Sustainability Assessment and its Mapping to SDGs for the extractive industries. So what motivated this project was the fact that extractive industries, including mining and oil and gas companies, have been called on to contribute to the Sustainability Development Goals, or SDGs, as defined by the United Nations General Assembly in 2015. However, this has been a real challenge over the year. Therefore, the main objective of this research is to analyze mining companies' contribution to the SDGs by considering indicators of sustainability and investigate changes in reporting practices over time. So to fulfill the objective of this research, three main goals had to be met. The third goal was to review literature of mining sustainability reports. The second goal consisted in updating our database for environmental and economic indicators reporting. And finally, all the environmental and economic sustainability indicators had to be mapped to the SDGs to evaluate mining companies' contribution to sustainability. So here is the methodology used to achieve the main goal of the research. Step one consisted in reviewing mining sustainability reporting for environmental and economic indicators to fulfill goal one. Step two involved the assessment of the sustainability indicators reporting data to achieve goal two. And step three aimed for the mapping of the sustainability indicators to the SDGs to fulfill goal three. For step one, after becoming familiar with sustainability reporting structure, sustainability reports of 8 major mining companies were reviewed between 2012 and 2019. Then, for reporting data assessment purposes, our database was updated for the environmental and economic indicators collected in the sustainability reports of the 8 major mining companies. So in order to analyze the data, a quantitative analysis was used. If an environmental or economic indicator in the database appeared in the sustainability report of a mining company, it was assessed with number one. If an indicator was not reported, it was assessed as zero. So with this process, we were able to assess 87 environmental and 33 economic sustainability indicators. So after finishing the indicators reporting assessment, all of them had to be mapped to the 17 SDGs as defined by the United Nations, and this was done in two parts. So each economic and environmental indicators corresponds to a specific category. So the first part of the mapping consisted in mapping the SDGs to the indicators category to see the overall reporting coverage from 2012 to 2019. Then, the second part consisted in mapping each individual indicator to the SDGs to evaluate the reporting between 2012 and 2019. So note that each SDG corresponds to a specific color. So now let's see the result for the reporting data analysis. So for the environmental indicators reporting assessment results, this graph shows the trend in coverage over 8 years of reporting. So the graph shows that the environmental indicators reporting in 2019 was lower compared to the previous years, except for 2017, and just slightly lower than 2014. Recall that the UN Assembly called for more contribution to the SDGs in 2015. And here we can see highest coverage in 2016 for 49.7% reporting. So all environmental indicators belong to 14 categories as shown above. The quantitative analysis was done to determine the average reporting for each category between 2012 and 2019, as well as the reporting inconsistencies over the 8 years reporting. So for instance, mineral resources category coverage was found to be inconsistent for an average 8 years reporting of 40%. However, energy use reporting coverage was relatively consistent with highest average reporting of 79%. Finally, transport and logistics category was consistently underreported for an average coverage of 13%. For the economic indicator reporting assessment result, as shown on the graph, there is a general increase of indicators reporting until 2016, and after that, it fluctuates slightly between 2016 and 2019. We can also see highest reporting coverage in 2016, which was 42.2%. Using the same methodology for the environmental category reporting, the 11 economic indicators category reporting was also analyzed between 2012 and 2019. We could observe, for example, inconsistencies and fluctuations in reporting for providers of capital category over the 8 years for an average reporting of 52%. There was a low and consistent reporting of indicators for customers category with only 2% reporting average. However, indirect economic impact category was reporting at relatively high consistent rate of 97% over the 8 years period. So now let's see the mapping result. As explained earlier, the first part of the mapping consisted in mapping each environmental and economic indicators category to the SDGs. So here are the results. Note that each category can correspond to more than one SDGs, and each SDG can correspond to more than one indicator categories as shown on both charts. Now we can see which SDGs are mapped to the environmental indicators categories as shown above, and which ones are mapped to the economic indicators categories as shown below. These results show the mapping of each individual environmental indicators to the SDGs. Due to the high amount of reporting data for each indicators category, a pivot table analysis was used. Note that both charts are related but not equivalent. The pie chart shows the count in environmental indicators for each SDGs based on reporting data. We can observe that the most of the environmental indicators are mapped to SDG 12, which is responsible consumption and production. However, SDG 3, good health and well-being, and SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, have the lowest indicators count. The histogram shows the average reporting percentage of each SDG over the 8 years. So based on the pie chart, even though SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, counted more environmental indicators, the histogram of reporting shows that SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, was a sustainable goal the most covered and reported by the mining companies over 8 years at 81%. So the same pivot table analysis was done for the mapping of each economic indicator. Again, both charts are related but not equivalent. The pie chart shows the economic indicators count of each SDGs, and most of them are mapped to SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. However, there is a very low count, for example, for SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, and SDG 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. The histogram of the 8 years average SDG reporting shows that SDG 1, no poverty, and SDG 2, zero hunger, were the most to be reported at 100% over the 8 years, even though the pie chart showed that they had the lowest count of indicators. And these SDGs correspond to ethical investment. So overall, this research was useful to analyze mining companies' contribution to the SDGs after the UN General Assembly in 2015. The hypothesis that sustainability indicators reporting was expected to increase after 2015 was unverified because of the general decreasing trend of sustainability indicators reporting after a peak in 2016. The quantitative analysis of environmental indicators reporting in sustainability reports showed a decreasing trend, while an increasing trend was observed for economic indicators reporting. For environmental indicator mapping, SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, appeared the most in reporting at 81%. However, SDG 17, Partnership for the Goal Transparency Initiative, was covered at only 22%. For the economic indicators mapping, SDG 1, no poverty, and SDG 2, zero hunger, were consistently covered at 100% for ethical investment, while SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, corresponding to water treatment investment, was covered at only 2%. In conclusion, the results showed a focus on ethical investment demonstrated by mining companies rather than water treatment investment for the economic indicators, and inconsistencies in reporting, especially production quantities and transportation data for the environmental indicators. So finally, we can say that mining companies try their best to contribute to the sustainability development goals. However, the results of this research show that there are some more efforts to be made. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I will be open for any questions.